Take a look at the map of Spain. See this? This massive yellow zone in the center is slowly dying. 90% of Spaniards are crammed into the edges of the country, and the rest is being swallowed by silence and decay. This is Spain, a country with a population of about 50 million. It is the fourth largest country in Europe. But what is truly shocking is that about 70% of the country is almost empty. 90% of the national population is concentrated only in Madrid and a few popular coastal areas. This area marked in yellow on the map is nearly uninhabited. Why is that? If we look at Spain's climate and geographical conditions, they are actually very good. There are beautiful beaches here, dense forests, towering mountain ranges, and even deserts. It clearly has everything. So why did people leave? Moreover, this yellow area was not empty from ancient times. Just a few decades ago, there were countless villages here. Towns were home to hundreds of thousands of people. But now, if you go to central and northern Spain, you will see a large number of empty houses, abandoned streets, buildings reduced to ruins. What is the real reason? In this video, we will together explore this peculiar population distribution pattern in Spain, uncovering the hidden stories you may have never heard before. Let's go back several thousand years. At that time, the entire Iberian region was under the rule of the Roman Empire. This land was called Hispania. In that era, the Roman Empire was a superpower. Its territory spanned North Africa, Europe, all the way to the modern-day Middle East. But the larger the empire, the harder it was to maintain, and the more expensive it became. Because of this, the Roman rulers divided the empire into two: the Eastern Roman Empire in the east, the Western Roman Empire in the west. And this split also marked the beginning of the empire's decline. Once power was divided, Germanic tribes in Western Europe began to attack. A Germanic tribe called the Visigoths conquered the entire Iberian Peninsula and ruled here for about 250 years. But their control was only temporary. Next to enter the historical stage was the Islamic Empire. In the year 711 AD, the Muslim general Tariq ibn Ziyad led his army into Spain from Gibraltar. Everything that followed became history. Hispania was renamed Al-Andalus. For the next 800 years, Spain was under Muslim rule. During this period, Al-Andalus became a center of knowledge. Science, philosophy, architecture, and culture all reached new heights. Cordoba became one of the most developed cities in the world at that time. It had libraries, universities. People regarded knowledge as the greatest treasure. But the golden age of Al-Andalus did not last forever. The Muslim Empire continuously faced resistance from Christian forces. This was the famous Reconquista. It was a long war. The Christian kingdoms fought for centuries, ultimately aiming to expel the Muslims from Spain. Finally, in the Battle of Granada at the end of the 15th century, the Christian armies defeated the Muslims, regaining control of Spain. A brand new chapter for Spain had begun. Spain was about to become one of the most powerful colonial empires in the world. From the 16th to the 19th centuries, the Spanish Empire had vast territories. From California to Argentina, even the Philippines in Asia were under Spanish control. But like all empires have their rise and fall, the Spanish Empire also began its decline. Around the year 1900, an empire that once spanned 12.95 million square kilometers was left with only 505.000 square kilometers. Then came another turning point. In the 1930s, a bloody civil war broke out in Spain. The war lasted until 1939. In the end, Franco's nationalist faction won. Franco became the ruler of Spain, holding power for 30 years. These 30 years are regarded as the darkest period in modern Spanish history. About 500,000 people died in the civil war. The Spanish economy was completely shattered. But the story wasn't over yet. Afterwards, Franco implemented protectionist policies that further isolated the country. At that time, more than half of Spain's population lived in rural areas, making a living from farming. But General Franco closed the borders, trying to protect domestic industry. Imports were almost completely halted. The result was that farmers could get neither new machinery, nor pesticide, nor any modern technology, coupled with the government beginning to control agricultural prices. All of this led to the near collapse of Spanish agriculture. So millions of people left the countryside. Some went to the cities. Others began emigrating abroad. By the late 1950s, Franco finally realized that to save Spain, it had to reintegrate with the world. So the borders slowly reopened. International trade resumed. From here, the Spanish economic miracle officially began. The opening up brought two major changes. First, through trade with France, Germany, Britain, and other countries, the Spanish economy began to grow rapidly. Second, all economic activity became concentrated in urban areas. Large companies, factories, business offices were all located in cities. Where there are businesses, there are jobs. Where there are jobs, people settle. People had already left the countryside due to the agricultural collapse. Now, driven by economic opportunities, they flocked from the empty central regions to the coastal cities. History and politics had paved the way, and the modern economy turned this migration into a permanent state. But the story isn't over yet. Behind this population pattern lies another key factor. Spain is a mountainous country. It is the second most mountainous country in Europe. There are 6 major mountain ranges here. The Beatic system in the south, the Iberian system and the Central system in the center, the Cantabrian Mountains and the Leonese Mountains in the north, and the Pyrenees Mountains on the northeastern border with France and Andorra. Northern Spain is humid and green. The climate is relatively cool, but the center and south are very dry. Many places even have a desert environment. The temperatures here are the highest in Europe. And under the influence of climate change, this region is becoming increasingly difficult to survive in. Scarce rainfall, intense heat, erratic seasons make life harder for farmers, and directly impact the population of these areas. According to UN data, about 74% of Spain's land is undergoing a process of desertification. If the situation does not change, in the coming years, 18% of Spain's land could permanently turn into desert. Rural areas lack adequate water infrastructure, making the migration to cities unstoppable. Spain's emptiest area is the Sardinia-Celta-Berica region in the north. This area is larger than Croatia and Denmark, but basic infrastructure is almost non-existent. The mountains make the terrain extremely complex. Building transportation networks is prohibitively expensive and extremely difficult. Therefore, even in the 21st century, this region lags behind in many aspects. Sahagun, just 100 kilometers from Madrid, was once densely populated. Now it is a ghost town. And its decline is not just about geography and infrastructure. There is also a very serious issue. Spain has one of the lowest birth rates in all of Europe. In the past 5 years, deaths have outnumbered births in Spain. Spanish women have an average of only 1 child, while maintaining a stable population requires at least 2 children per woman. The main reasons are late marriage, economic instability, and unstable job market. People take a long time to get settled. By the time they want to start a family, they are already older. In Spain, 10% of mothers are 40 years old when they have their first child. Because of this, Spain is now facing a serious demographic crisis. By 2040, Spain will enter a period of population decline. This means, to balance the economy and population, Spain needs at least 6 to 7 million immigrants. So, if Spain wants to repopulate these empty areas, the government must provide subsidies for couples, childbirth benefits, and build better infrastructure in rural areas. Otherwise, This peculiar population distribution will only become more extreme in the future. On one hand, there are fewer and fewer newborns. On the other hand, the living are also leaving the country.